Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you're doing well. This is Jack from byprogrammers.com and welcome back to a brand new episode of Let's Code React Native. In this episode, we are going to build a cool looking movie streaming app based on the design created by Risang on Dribbble.com. Just so you know, the full source code for this episode is now available on shop.byprogrammers.com for just a few dollars, so be sure to check that out. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification for more videos like this. Alright, now with that being said, let's get started. Just like the previous episode, instead of just setting the project from scratch, we have actually prepared a starter template so that it will be a lot easier for you guys to follow along. So all you need to do is to download the source code, unzip the file, and this is what you're going to get. Once you open up your source code, the first thing you need to do is to open up your terminal and run npm install. Alright. Next, you need to run React Native link. After that, you can then cd into iOS and run pod install. Alright, now you can then navigate back to the root folder and run React Native run iOS. Alright, so as you can see here, the starter template is actually a very simple app where we have the bottom tab navigator over here, we have a text component over here, and also we have a touchable opacity that allows us to navigate to the movie detail screen. And pretty much that's about it. Next, we'll quickly go through the project folder over here. First thing we have is the assets folder, where we have the fonts that we'll be using, which is Roboto as usual, and icons that we'll be using in this project, and also the images that we'll be using in this project. You see, we have all sorts of series images and also the dummy profiles, alright? We are going to use these later on, don't worry. And next, we have the components folder. For the starter template, I've only included the tab icon component, which is nothing more than a view and an image component that will use it to render the bottom tab over here. Alright? Okay, so after the components, we have constants folder, and within the constants folder, we have dummy.js, which is basically all the dummy data that we'll be using in the project later on. As you can see here, we have the season name, which is Barbarians, we have thumbnail, we have the profile, and so on and so forth. Alright. Later on, we'll use this dummy data and present it to look like our mock like this. Okay. So after the dummy.js, we have icons.js, which is basically all the icons that we'll be using in the project later on. Okay. Images, and also theme.js. So over here we have the dimensions of our screen, the width and height. We have the colors that we'll be using. We have all sorts of different sizes, and also we have the fonts. And of course, we need the index.js file and export them so that we can use it in the project later on. So next, we have the navigation folder. Again, this is pretty straightforward. We have created the bottom tab navigator over here, and within the functional component, we have returned the tab.navigator, where we style the bottom tab bar over here. As you can see, the background color is black and the height is 100. And within the tab.navigator, we will include the tab.screen component, which is basically these four tabs over here. So as you can see, we have home tab, we have play tab, we have search tab, and also we have profile tab. Oh, and over here we are using our very own custom component to render the tab bar icon over here. Okay, and last but not least, we have the screens folder. So within the screens folder, we have home.js, which is a very simple screen that renders the text component and also the touchable opacity over here. And the same thing goes to movie detailed screen. Alright, so that's all for the project structure. Now the first screen that we'll be doing is the home screen, which is this screen over here. Let me open this up. Okay, now before we begin, let us first import the components that we need from React Native. Okay, so back to the home screen, and over here I'll need the safe area view. I'll need view, I'll need text, I'll need flat list, I need touchable opacity, I need touchable without feedback, I need image background, I need animated. This is for the dots over here. Okay, we need to animate these dots later on. Alright. And lastly, we need scroll view. Alright, next we'll need to import from the constants. So import from constants. Over here, we'll need the dummy data. We need colors, we need sizes, we need fonts, we need icons, and also images. Okay, so for the home screen, the first thing that we'll be doing is to wrap this whole thing within a safe area view with a background color of black. Alright, let's work on that first. So I'm gonna delete this whole thing and change it to safe area view. Give it some styling. So flags equals to 1 and background color equals to colors.black. Alright, once we have set up the container view, which is this safe area view, the first section that we'll be working on is the header section over here, which basically includes an image button on the left and also on the right. Okay? So within this safe area view, we will need to render a function called render header, and we will create this function over here. Right? So function render header, and I'm going to return something. Okay. So we need a container view like that. Give it some styling. So style equals to flex direction equals to row. Justify content equals to space between. Align item center. Padding horizontal equals to sizes.padding. Okay. Alright, so within this container view, we need two components, which are the profile button over here and also the screen mirror button over here. Okay, so first we have the profile and followed by screen mirror. So for the profile, we need a touchable opacity. Give it some styling. Align item center. Justify content center. Width equals to 50. Height equals to 50 as well. And whenever I click on this button, I will just simply console log profile like that. And now within the touchable opacity, we need an image component. The source will be images.profile photo. Style is going to be width 40, height 40, and border radius equals to 20. Alright, so the profile is showing over here. Next will be the screen mirror button. Okay, so over here, same thing, we need the touchable opacity as well. Give it some styling. So justify content equals to center, align item equals to center as well, width equals to 50, and height equals to 50 as well. And whenever I click on this button, I will just simply console log screen mirror like that. So within this touchable opacity, we need an image component as well. Source will be icons.airplay. The style is going to be width 25, height 25, and the tint color is going to be colors.primary. Excuse me. Alright, cool. So the header section is now completed. Alright, so next we'll be working on the new season section, which is this part over here. So for this part, we'll be using an animated flat list. The reason why it has to be animated is so that we can control or animate the dots section over here. And for each of the item in this flat list, we will have a touchable without feedback. Okay, this whole thing is actually a button. We have the image background. Okay, we have the play now section and also the still watching section over here. Alright, now let's see how we can do that. So the first thing we need to do is to wrap this whole thing, this whole part over here, into a scroll view so that it is scrollable over here. Alright, so right underneath the render header function, we will be having a scroll view like this. And the content container style is going to be padding bottom 100. The reason why we need to give it some padding bottom is so that the scroll view content won't be blocked by the bottom tab navigator over here. Okay? Alright, so within the scroll view, we will render a function called render new season section. And we will create the function over here. So function render new season section, and over here we will return something. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be using animated flat list to render this part. Okay, so animated dot flat list. And for this flat list, it has to be horizontal, padding enable, snap to alignment equals to center, snap to interval equals to sizes.width, shows horizontal scroll indicator equals to false, scroll event throttle equals to 16, deceleration rate equals to 0, content container style equals to margin top sizes.radius. The data is going to be dummy data dot new season, key extractor equals to item arrow function item.id. On scroll equals to animated.event, native event content offset x new season scroll x. And don't forget, we need to set the use native driver to false. So what we are doing here is basically getting the horizontal scroll position and assign it to the new season scroll x reference variable. And of course, we'll need to create this variable over here. So constant new season scroll x equals to react.useRef, and the initial value is going to be new animated.value 0. And over here it has to be dot current, like that. And lastly, we will have the render item prop. So render item equals to item index arrow function, and over here we will return something. Okay, like I said, these are actually buttons, this whole thing, so I'm gonna use touchable without feedback, like that. And whenever I click on this, I will navigate to the movie detailed screen, and at the same time I will pass in the param as well. So selected movie will be the item. Now because you can't really style the touchable without feedback component, so we'll need a container view over here. Alright, so view, the style is going to be width equals to sizes.width, align items equals to center, justify content equals to center as well. And within this container view, we will have the movie's thumbnail, and we are going to use the image background to render this part. So image background like that. Oh, and this part is actually the thumbnail. Okay, so for the image background, the source is going to be item.thumbnail. Resize mode equals to cover. Style is going to be width equals to sizes.width multiplied by 0.85. And for the height, same thing, sizes.width multiplies by 0.85 as well. And the justify content equals to flex n. Alright, so save it and see what we got. Alright, cool. It seems like the thumbnails are being rendered properly within the flat list. Perfect. Now, in order to give the image background a bit of border radius over here, we will need to use another prop called image style. So border radius equals to 40. Perfect. Alright, now within this image background, we will have a container view. Okay, so give it some styling. So style equals to flex direction equals to row, height equals to 60, width equals to 100%, margin bottom, oops, okay, margin bottom equals to sizes.radius, and padding horizontal equals to sizes.radius as well. Now, if I were to give this a background color of let's say primary, you see that it's actually being rendered over here. Okay, and this is actually where we are going to render the play now section and also the still watching section over here. Okay, so let me remove this. And now within this container view, we will have the play now section and also still watching section. So for the play now section, we will also need a container view like that. Give it some styling. Flex equals to 1. Flex direction equals to row. Align item equals to center. And now within this view, we will have another view for the icon over here, the play icon over here. So same thing, we also need to give it some styling. So align items equals to center. Justify content equals to center as well. Width equals to 40. Height equals to 40. Border radius equals to 20. And background color equals to colors dot transparent white. Okay, so we have it here, and within this view we will simply render the image, right? So source will be icons.play. Resize mode equals to contain. Style is going to be width 15, height 15, and tint color equals to colors.white. Perfect. Now all we need to do is to render the play now text component right beside the play icon, right? So over here, we will render the text component, and here will be play now, and we need to give it some styling. So margin left equals to sizes.base. Color is going to be white. And the font is going to be H3. Alright, so lastly we'll be working on the still watching section over here. Just that we need to do a bit of handling just in case that no one is currently watching this season. Alright, we need to do a bit of handling over here. So for this, we will only render the still watching section if the item.stillWatching.length is more than 0, like this. Okay. And over here we will render a container view. Give it some styling. Justify content equals to center. And within this view, we will have the text component that renders still watching. Give it some styling as well. So color is going to be white. And the font is going to be H4. So after the text component, we have these profile section, and we are going to create a standalone component for this part over here. Alright, so head over to your components, create a new file called profiles, like that. Same thing, I'm going to import from React. I'm going to import from React Native. Over here we need view, we need text, we need image, and also style sheet. We need to import a couple of things from constants as well. From constants. So we need colors, fonts, and sizes. So now we can then create the profile functional component. So constant profiles equals to, we'll be taking in one prop called profiles, arrow function, and we will return something over here. Don't forget we need to export default the profiles as well. Now over here we need to include the style sheet. So constant styles equals to style sheet dot create. So the first thing we have here is the container. Flex direction equals to row. Align items equals to center. And after this we have the profile image, whereby the width equals to 40, height equals to 40, border radius equals to 20, and border width equals to 2, and lastly the border color is going to be black. Okay, now before we proceed further, we will just simply return a text component and see if it works. So view, text, and over here I'll just simply render profiles. Alright, so we need to include it in the index.js file as well. So I'm going to rename this to profiles, and I'm going to export it over here like that. And in the home component, in the home screen, we can then import the profile component like this from components, and this one's going to be profiles. And I'm going to render this profile in the still watching section over here. So I'm gonna do this profiles and see if it works. Alright, so it's working. The text component is being rendered directly underneath the still watching text component. Now that I'm here, I'm going to pass in the profiles props as well. So profiles equals to item.stillWatching. Alright, so now head back to your profile.js, and over here there will basically be two different return statements. So if the profiles.length is less than or equals to 3, then I'll simply return the profile like this. If it's not, if it's more than 3, we will return the profile like this together with a text component next to it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna simply cut and paste from here. Alright, so if it's less than or equals to 3, within the return statement we will have the container view. Give it some styling. The style is going to be styles.container, which we have already set up over here. And within this view, we'll be using the map method to render the profile. So profiles.map. Okay, item index arrow function. And over here, we'll return a container view. The key is going to be profile index. And for the style, if it's the first item, index equals to 0, then it's going to be null. If it's not, we will return margin left equals to 15. This is to create the overlapping effect like this. Okay, so within this view, we will have the image component. Source is going to be item dot profile. Resize mode equals to cover, and style is going to be styles dot profile image. Alright, now if it's more than 3, we need a container view as well. So style is going to be styles.container. Same thing, we're going to use the map method to render the profile. So profiles.map, item index arrow function, and over here, if index is less than or equals to true, which means we will only render a maximum of 3 profile images over here. Alright, so we will return a view. The key is going to be same thing, profile dash index, and the style is going to be same thing as well. If it's the first item, it's going to be null. If it's not, then the margin left equals to -15. And now within this view, we will have the image component. The source is going to be item.profile. Resize mode equals to cover. Style equals to styles.profile image. Alright, so after the profile image, don't forget we need the text component as well. So text. So over here we will render plus profiles.length -3, and the style is going to be margin left equals to sizes.base, color equals to white, and the font is going to be body 3. Save it. Perfect. So we have the still watching section ready as well. Cool. Alright, so next we'll be working on the dot section over here. So to do that, go back to the home.js file, and we are going to render a new function over here. So we are going to render dots function, and we are going to create this function over here. So function render dots, and we are going to return something. Okay, so over here we need a container view. Give it some styling. So margin top has to be sizes.padding. Flex direction equals to row. Align items equals to center. Justify content equals to center as well. Now within this container view, we are going to use the map method to render these dots over here. Alright, so dummy data dot new season dot map item index arrow function, and we are going to return something over here. So for now, I'm just going to return an ordinary view without animations. So view, I'm going to do like this. The key is going to be dot index. Style is going to be border radius sizes.radius, margin horizontal equals to 3, width equals to 6, height equals to 6, and background color equals to, I'm gonna use primary color for now. Alright, cool, so we have the dots over here. Next thing we need to do is to animate it, and to do that we need the dot position. So over here, constant dot position equals to animated dot divide new season scroll x sizes dot width. Alright, so once we got the dot position, we will be using interpolate to animate the opacity, the dot width, and also the dot color. Alright, so within this map method, the first thing we have here is the opacity. So constant opacity equals to dot position dot interpolate. The input range will be index -1, index +1, and the output range will be 0.3, 1, and 0.3. Extrapolate equals to claim. Next we have the dot width equals to dot position interpolate. I'm gonna just copy and paste it from here and change the output range to 6, 20, and 6. Lastly is the dot color. So constant dot color equals to dot position dot interpolate. I'm gonna paste it over here as well, and the output range is going to be colors dot light gray, colors dot primary, and followed by colors dot light gray. Alright, next we need to change this to an animated view like that, and the opacity equals to opacity, the one we have already set up over here. The width is going to be dot width, and the background color is going to be dot color. Save it. Oops, a bit of typo over here. Alright, let's see if the animation works. Oops. Perfect. The animation is working perfectly fine. Cool. Alright, so next we'll be working on the continue watching section. So for this section, there are basically two main parts. The first part is going to be the header, where we have a text component over here and followed by an image component on the right. Okay, let's work on the header section first. So come over here, underneath the render dots function, we are going to render a new function called render continue watching section, and we are going to create this function over here. So function render continue watching section, and we are going to return something. So first thing first, we need a container view with a bit of styling. The margin top equals to sizes.padding. Now within this container view, like I said, we have two main sections over here. The first one is going to be the header, and the second section is going to be this list over here. Okay, so the first section is going to be the header and followed by the list. So for the header section, we need a container view as well. Give it some styling. Flags direction equals to row. Padding horizontal equals to sizes.padding, and align items equals to center. And within this view, we will have the text component. Alright, so text, and we are going to render continue watching give it some styling. Flags equals to 1, color equals to white, and the font is going to be fonts.h2. Alright, so next we need the image component. The source is going to be icons.right arrow. Style is going to be width 20, height 20, and tint color colors.primary. Alright, so the header section is ready. Next we'll be working on the continue watching list section. So this whole thing is basically a flat list, and within this flat list, for each of this item, we will have, the button itself. This whole thing is actually a button. We will have the thumbnail. We will have the movie name, which is a text component, and also we will have a progress bar right underneath the text component as well. And for the progress bar, since we are using it in multiple different places in the detail screen as well, we are going to create a standalone component for this progress bar later on. Alright, so go back to your source code. In the list section, okay, I'm gonna create the flat list. So for this, it's going to be horizontal. Shows horizontal scroll indicator equals to false. Content container style equals to margin top will be sizes.padding. Data is going to be dummy data dot continue watching. Key extractor will be item arrow function item ID. And lastly is the render item prop. So we have item and index followed by arrow function and return something. Okay, so like I said, this whole thing is actually a button, so we are going to use the touchable without feedback component like that. And whenever I click on this button, I am going to navigate to the movie detail screen, and at the same time I'll pass over the item as parameter as well. So selected movie item like that. And since we can't really style the touchable without feedback component, we need a container view over here like that. So give it some styling. Style equals to margin left, and if it's the first item, index equals to 0, margin left will be sizes.padding, and if it's not, it's going to be 20. For margin right, if it's the last item, where index equals to dummy data dot continue watching dot length -1, then it's going to be sizes.padding. If it's not, it's going to be 0. Alright, so within this container view, we will have the thumbnail, the name, and also the progress bar. So over here we have thumbnail, we have name, and also progress bar. So for the thumbnail, it's actually a normal image, and the source is going to be item.thumbnail. Resize mode equals to cover. Style is going to be width sizes.width divided by 3. Height equals to sizes.width divided by 3 plus 60, and the border radius equals to 20. Save it. Alright, so we have the thumbnail being rendered properly underneath, which is good. Oh, and on a side note, if you haven't watched Prison Break already, be sure to watch it, especially the season 1. You won't regret it, trust me. Alright, come back to our source code. So after the thumbnail, we have name. So over here, it's a text component like that, and we will render item.name. And the style is going to be margin top sizes.base, color is going to be white, and the font will be H4. Alright, next for the progress bar, which is this part over here, we are going to create a standalone component for this. So head over to your components folder, create a new file called progress bar. Same thing, I'm going to import from React. I'm going to import from React Native. And for this, I only need the view. Alright, and don't forget we need to import from the constants as well. So import from constants, we need the colors and sizes. So next we can then create the functional component, so constant progress bar. For this we'll be taking in 3 props, which are container style, bar style, and bar percentage, arrow function, and return something. So after this we need to export default progress bar like that. For now, I'm going to simply return a view and a text component and see if it works. So over here, I'm going to render progress bar. Make sure to change the color to white or else you can't see it. Like that. And next, we need to include it in the index.js file. So over here, progress bar. And we need to export it over here. I need to save this as well and go back to your harm.js file, import the progress bar. So over here, I'll import progress bar, and I will head over to the continue watching section, which is this part. Right underneath the name, I am going to render the progress bar like that. Save it. Oh, let me include the text component for now, like that. Alright, cool, so it's working. So back to the progress bar component, we need a container view like this. Give it some styling. And the style is going to be container style prop, like that. And within this container view, we need 2 more views to render the bar. Alright, so for the first view, the style is going to be position absolute, bottom 0, left 0, width equals to 100%, margin top equals to sizes.base, background color equals to colors.gray, and we will include the bar style as well, like that. And for the second view, the style is going to be same thing, position absolute, bottom 0, left 0, just that the width is the bar percentage props, bar percentage props. For the margin top will be sizes.base, background color is colors.primary, and of course we will include the bar style as well, like that. Save it. Alright, now go back to your home.js file. Over here we need to include some of the props. So we need to include container style, where the margin top equals to sizes.radius, bar style equals to height will be 3. Oops, this one should be here, like that. And lastly, the bar percentage equals to item.overall progress. Save it. There you go. So we have completed the continue watching section as well. Great. Alright, now for the second screen, which is movie detailed screen, this screen over here, what we are going to do is that we will basically wrap this whole thing within a scroll view. Alright, this whole thing within a scroll view. And then we will divide this screen into 3 different sections, which are the header section, this whole thing over here, the category and rating section over here, and also the movie detail section over here. Alright, Now go back to your source code, navigate to the movie detailed screen. Alright. Now the first thing we are going to do is to import a couple of components from React Native. So we need image background, we need touchable opacity, we need image, we need style sheet, we need scroll view, and also we need platform. This is so that we can do some additional handling for Android devices as well. Alright. After that, we need to import from components. So import from components, and over here we need the progress bar component for the movie detail section over here. And lastly, we need to import from constants as well. So here we have colors, we have sizes, we have fonts, and also we have icons. Let me include the navigation and route over here as well. So navigation, route, like that. And then we'll need to create the React state hook to keep track of the selected movie. So constant selected movie, set selected movie equals to react.useState now. And over here we need to use the useEffect hook. So react.useEffect arrow function, like that. And over here we need to extract the selected movie from route.params. Once we got the selected movie, over here we need to set selected movie equals to selected movie, just like that. Alright, next we'll be using a scroll view to wrap this whole screen over here. Alright, so I'm gonna remove this and change it to scroll view. Give it some styling, so the container style equals to flex1, background color equals to black. Now if you were to scroll the scroll view like that, you see there's a white background behind the scroll view. So to get rid of that, we will use the style prop and set the background color to black as well. See, it's gone. Alright. Okay, so the first section that we'll be working on is the header section, which is this whole part over here. Alright. So to do that, we will render a new function over here. So render header section, and I'm going to create this function right on top. So function render header section, sorry, and over here I'm going to return the image background, this one over here. Alright, so image background, the source is going to be selected movie. Okay, details dot image, resize mode equals to cover, and the style equals to width 100%, and for the height, if the sizes dot height is less than 700, then the height is going to be sizes dot height multiplied by 0.6, and if it's not, then it's going to be sizes dot height multiplied by 0.7. Save it and see what we got. Alright, now within this image background, we will create a container view excuse me, and the style is going to be flex equals to 1. Now within this container view, the first thing we need to render is actually the header bar over here. So we will need to render a new function called render header bar, and I will create this function directly on top. So function render header bar, and we will return something. So for the header bar, we basically have two different components, which are the back image button actually, and also the upload image button on the right. Let's see how we can do that. Alright, so within this return statement, we will have a container view like that. give it some styling. So flex direction equals to row. Justify content equals to space between. Align items equals to center. Margin top equals to, now if the platform is equals to iOS, then the margin top will be 40. If it's not, then it will be 20. And the padding horizontal equals to sizes.padding. Alright, now within this header bar, we will have the back button over here and also the share button, right? So we have the back button and also the share button. So for the back button, we need the touchable opacity. Touchable opacity. The style is going to be align item center. Justify content center. Width 50. Height 50. Border radius equals to 20. Background color equals to colors dot transparent black. And whenever I click on the back button, I will need to navigate back. So navigation dot go back, just like that. Now within this touchable opacity, we will simply render the image component. The source will be icons.left arrow, and the style is going to be width 20, height 20, and tint color equals to colors.white. Save it. Alright, cool. So the back button is in place. So I click on it, it will navigate back to the home screen, right? And now for the share button, I'm gonna copy this whole thing and paste it over here. Or a better practice to do this is actually to create a standalone component for this icon button. I'll leave that to you, but for this tutorial or for this project, I'll keep it this way, alright? So now whenever I click on this share button, I will console log share. And the source will be icons.upload. It should be share actually, but it's okay. And the style is going to be 25 for the width, and same thing goes for the height. Save it. And there you go, the header bar is ready. So we have the share button and also the back button. Cool. Alright, so after the header bar, next we will be working on this section over here. Now if you pay attention to the image itself, there is a slight gradient at the bottom of the image, right? It goes from dark to transparent. So in order to achieve this result, we will need a library called React Native Linear Gradient. So scroll down and copy this. You can use yarn if you want to. So copy this and paste it in your terminal and press enter. Now as usual, every time after we install a plugin, we will need to restart our app. So I'm gonna close our app, and over here we will run the React Native link. After that, we'll cd into iOS and run pod install. Now we can then navigate back to the root folder and run React Native run iOS. Alright, now in the movie detail screen, the first thing we need to do is to import linear gradient. Okay, so import excuse me, linear gradient from React Native linear gradient, just like that. Now we can go back to the header section over here, and right underneath the render header bar function, we will render a container view like this. Give it some styling. Flex equals to 1, justify content equals to flex. And now let me navigate to the movie detail screen first. Alright, now within this container view, we will have the linear gradient component. So linear gradient, like that. Start is going to be x equals to 0 and y equals to 0. And end is going to be x equals to 0 and y equals to 1. And for the colors, we have the transparent and also black color like that. And for the style, we have width equals to 100%, height equals to 150, align items equals to center, and justify content equals to flex n. Alright, now let me hide the terminal, save it. There you go. As you can see, the linear gradient is being rendered properly over here. Now within this linear gradient component, we need to render two more text components. Alright, so the first one is for this part, the season 4 season title, and the next component, the next text component, will be used to render the movie name. Alright, so here we have the season, we have the season and also the name. Alright, so for this, we will have a text component and we will render selected movie details.season, and the style is going to be color equals to white, and the font will be body 4. Save it. Alright, so we have the season over here. Next will be the name. Same thing, text component, and we will render selected movie name, and the style is going to be margin top equals to sizes.base, colors will be white, and the fonts will be H1. Perfect. Alright, so after the header section, next we'll be working on the category and rating section over here. So go back to the source code over here. Let me just put some comments. This one is for header. Next we'll be working on category and ratings, and lastly will be the movie details. Alright, so for the category and ratings, we will render a new function called render category and ratings, and we will create this function over here. So function render category and ratings, return something. Alright, so now the first thing we need is a container view like that. Give it some styling. Flex direction equals to row, margin top equals to sizes.base, align items equals to center, justify content equals to center as well. Alright, now that we have the container view in place, next we will have 3 different set of views for these 3 different components. The first one we have here is the age group. Alright, after that followed by genre, and lastly is the ratings. Now because the style is more or less the same, I'm gonna put it in the style sheet over here. So constant styles equals to style sheet dot create category container, the flex direction equals to row, align item center, justify content center as well, margin left equals to sizes.base, padding horizontal equals to sizes.base as well, padding vertical equals to 3, border radius equals to sizes.base, background color equals to colors.gray1. Alright, now back to the category and rating section over here. Like I said, we have 3 different components over here. So we have age, we have the genre, and lastly is the ratings. Alright, so for the age, we will have a container view. Give it some styling. I will use array instead because I would like to overwrite the margin left to 0 like that. So the style will be styles.category container. Just that I would like to overwrite the margin left to 0. Now within this view, we will have a text component that renders selected movie dot details dot age. And for the style will be, let me just arrange it properly. Alright, now for the style, the color is going to be white and the fonts will be H4. Alright, now save it. There you go, the H is showing over here. Now for the genre, same thing, it's going to be a container view as well. For the style, we will need to override the category container as well. So here I'm gonna put styles.category container, just that we need to override the padding horizontal to sizes.padding. And now within the view, we have the text component as well, and we will render selected movie .details .genre. And for the style, it's going to be color will be white and the font will be H4. There you go. And lastly will be the ratings. So same thing, I need the container view as well. Give it some styling. So the style is styles.category container, like that. And for the ratings, we have the star icon followed by the rating itself. So over here we will render an image component where the source will be icons.star, resize mode equals to contain, style is the width will be 15 and height is the same as well, 15. Let me save it. Alright, so we have the star icon over here. So after the image component, we will render the text component. So over here, we will render selected movie .details .ratings. Give it some styling. Margin left equals to sizes .base. Color equals to white. And font equals to H4. Perfect. Alright, next we'll move on to the last section of this project, which is the movie details section over here. So same thing, we will render a new function over here. So I'm gonna call this function render movie details. Alright, and we will create this function over here. So function render movie details, and we will return something. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a container view to fill up this whole area first. So the container view, give it some styling, where the flex equals to 1, padding horizontal equals to sizes.padding, margin top equals to sizes.padding as well, and justify content equals to base around. This is so that the components within this view, within this container view, will fill up this area over here. Alright. Now within this container view, we will basically render two sections. The first one is the title, running time, and also progress bar. So the first section is title, running time, and progress bar. And the second section is actually this button over here. So I'm gonna call this watch. Alright, so for this, I'm gonna create a view like that. And within this view, I'm going to create another view for these two components, these two text components, alright? So this one is actually for title and running time. So within this view, give it some styling. The flex direction should be row. So here we have a text component that will render selected movie .details .current episode. Give it some styling. So flex equals to 1, color equals to white, and font equals to H4. Save it. Alright, so we have the episode title over here. Next, we will render the running time. So same thing, text component. Over here, we will render selected movie. Dot details. Dot running time. And the style equals to color. Colors dot light gray. And font equals to body 4. Oops. Now save it. Oh, a bit of typo over here. Alright, so we have successfully rendered the title and also the running time. Alright, so we have successfully rendered the title and also the running time. Next, we need to show the progress bar underneath, alright? So over here, we are going to show the progress bar. So I'm going to use the component that we have created earlier. So progress bar. I'm going to supply some props. The container style equals to margin top will be sizes.radius. Bar style equals to height will be 5, border radius will be 3, and bar percentage equals to the selected movie dot details dot progress. Save it. Now the reason why the red bar is not showing is because the bar percentage for this series is 0. So let me go back and change another series. Let's say Prison Break, my favorite, of course. There you go, the red bar is actually working. There you go, the progress bar is actually working fine. Alright, now the last thing we need to do is to render this button over here. So for the watch section, we need a touchable opacity. Like that. The style equals to height will be 60. Align item center. Justify content equals to center as well. Margin bottom. Now if the platform is equals to iOS, then the margin bottom will be equals to sizes.padding times 2. If it's not, then it will be 0. The border radius equals to 15 and background color equals to colors.primary. Now within the touchable opacity, we will need to render a text component. Now, if the selected movie dot details dot progress equals to 0%, we will render watch now, like that. If it's not, we will render continue watch. Don't forget to give it some styling. The color should be white and the font equals to H2. Save it. Alright, so the button is showing over here. Let me check the other series as well. House of Cards. Alright, it's working. For the Barbarian, it should be watch now. Perfect. Alright guys, we have just coded this cool looking movie streaming app based on the design created by Risang on Dribbble.com. Now if you would like to support our work, or if you're in a hurry, the full source code for this project is available for just a few dollars on shop.byprogrammers.com, and I have included the link in the description below. If not, that's totally fine, as you can still achieve the same result by getting the starter template for this project and follow along the video. So if you like the video, we'll be more than happy if you can give it a thumbs up, comment, share it to your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. I will see you guys in the next video. Happy coding. Peace.